Time management is an important part of being successful in college. The number one problem students tell me is preventing them from success is procrastination. There are lots of other, more interesting things to do than study, especially when it is a subject you are not particularly interested in at the moment. Sigmund Freud's pleasure principle states that people will always seek pleasure to avoid pain, especially when they are tired, overwhelmed, and overall psychologically weak. This partly explains why we sometimes procrastinate. The thing that we need to do is hard or not interesting. We are tired and don't feel like dealing with it, so we find something else more enjoyable to do with that time. How do we overcome procrastination? The first step to completing any activity is getting started. When thinking about doing an activity, the pleasure associated with the activity is proportional to the effort required to complete the task. The greater the dread of effort, the greater the perceived difficulty of the task will be. The pleasure factor of a particular task depends on the person's actual experience, the person anticipates they will have with the task, as well as the amount of pleasure or displeasure the person is currently feeling. This is not accurate if the person does not have any actual experience with the task, and the displeasure can be perceived as higher than it might actually be due to a person's anxiety. The anxiety will distort the person's perception of the difficulty of the task. The consequences of completing the task will usually be emotional. Anticipation will either evoke a positive emotional experience of excitement or a negative emotional experience of anxiety. Other feelings that can surface include disgust, relief, or dread. The level of negative consequences a person thinks will occur by not completing the task will either prompt the person to complete the task or increase feelings of dread and anxiety will deter the person from acting to complete the task. In college, time is valuable to everyone across campus. Your instructors value on-time class attendance because it disrupts the other students trying to focus, and the instructors lecture when a person or multiple people enter the room after the lecture has begun. Late students also miss important instruction for in-class activities. Your instructors value on-time assignments because they have limited time for grading. Late papers require extra time that could be spent grading current assignments, which delays you and other students receiving grades on time. Additionally, monitoring your progress in a course is difficult if your grades are not current and accurate. Your instructors also value students keeping their appointments. The instructors block that time for you and delay other work to make time for you. Students value on-time class attendance as well. You expect your instructors to show up on time because you are also busy. Students expect prompt responses from their instructors, meaning a reply to emails in 24 hours for the following business day. Students also expect instructors to show up for scheduled appointments and to be available during posted office hours. Overall, instructors and students both value time. It shows mutual respect and ensures student success in college. It is important to develop a time management system at the beginning of your college career to ensure your academic success. A weekly calendar helps students prioritize assignments and study time while keeping up with work, family, and other personal obligations. This can be done with a smartphone, computer, or a paper calendar. A monthly calendar helps students prioritize projects and plan study time over the course of the semester to prepare for major tests. This can also be done with a smartphone app, computer, or a paper calendar. The SPC library has free planners available for students. Stop by the reference desk and ask for your free planner anytime during the semester. After you have your weekly schedule and monthly schedule created, the next step is to create a to-do list. List all of the things you need to do each day. This may be one-time items like make a hair appointment, finish a reading quiz, post in a discussion board, etc. It is also the steps that you need to complete to work through the process of completing a long-term project, and maybe things like complete project proposal, complete project reference page, complete project slides, etc. Lastly, your to-do list may include things without a specific deadline. These are things like go to church, completing a Duolingo lesson, etc. Let's take a minute to determine where you are using your time. Pause the video and make a list of 15 or more actions that you have taken in the last 2 days. These are specific things that you have done that someone could see you doing. For example, ate breakfast, watched TV, studied for class, folded laundry, etc. Now that you have your list completed, let's sort those actions into a chart based on their level of importance. Draw a 4-box chart on your paper. In the top left box, list the actions from your list that were important and needed to be done immediately. In the top right box, list the actions that were important but did not need to be done immediately. In the bottom left box, list the actions that were not important but needed to be done immediately. In the bottom right box, list the actions that were not important and did not need to be done immediately. Here's an example of items that might belong in each quadrant. Pause the video to sort your list. Now that you have your actions sorted out, go back and next to each action, write the amount of time you spent on each one. When you are finished, look at your chart. What did you spend most of your time doing? In which quadrant do you spend the most time? What could you change to better use your time? The answers to these questions will help you better organize your schedule. Boxing is a technique used by successful CEOs such as Elon Musk to accomplish a lot of work in a short amount of time. The first step is to create your to-do list for the day. Then estimate how long each activity will take to complete. Make sure to include breaks and possible interruptions into the amount of time for completion. Lastly, set a timer to alert you when it is time to move to the next activity. For example, you estimate it will take you 1 hour to complete your history homework, 30 minutes for your yoga homework, 1.5 hours for your English homework. Set your timer for 1 hour and start your history homework. When the alert goes off, stop, set the timer for 30 minutes, and shift to your yoga homework. The key to this technique is to stop and move to the next thing on the list when you receive the alert. This keeps you on task and moving through your to-do list. When thinking about your to-do list, it is important to consider what your priorities are for school, for your relationships, and for yourself. Pause the video and create a list of 3 priorities for school. For example, turn in all of my homework this semester. 3 priorities for your relationships. For example, dinner with your family every Friday night. And 3 priorities for yourself. For example, 30 minutes of journaling every Sunday morning. Now that you have your priorities and an idea of where you spend your time during the day, you need to get organized. The first step is to look at the academic calendar to give you an idea of the important college deadlines for the semester. This can be found at the bottom of the South Plains College website through a link labeled Academic Calendar. I will include a link to the web page in this folder. Next is to look at your personal calendar and identify important dates or events that you will need to accommodate in your semester schedule. For this class, we will practice scheduling our time by filling out a time management worksheet. You will find the link to this assignment in this week's module. On your time management worksheet, first identify your obligated time. This is the time that you are in class, at work, asleep, eating, studying, etc. Next, identify any free time in your schedule. Step back and analyze your situation. Do you have more or less free time than you thought? Are there items on your weekly schedule that you can remove or change? Submit your completed time management worksheet at the end of the week. If you have any questions, please contact me by email, egramzinski@southplainscollege.edu. Be sure to include your name, student ID number, and the course you enrolled with your question in the email.